The thing that I can tell you is that anything that's made on social media, we are aware of it and we do monitor it. But unless the comments or things that are made on social media is something that affects a policy or procedure, at this point, it's nothing that we can do about it, but we are aware.
For today's video, I'd just like to ask you a question, and in the comments below, please provide your opinion. In a recent Civilian Review Board meeting, the Inspector General of the City of Columbus Department of Public Safety, Jacqueline M. Hendricks, stated that in order to avoid public scrutiny of her investigators, she will no longer be releasing the investigators' names when they are requested via public records. The question that I have for you: is this legal?
Any comments from our review committee? Or questions from the board?
I have one. I think on this particular one right here, the investigator's name was not on the case. And I think that, that we should have known who the investigator of the case was.
Yep, and that.
So we have went to a new format in which we no longer put the investigators' names on the reports. The reports strictly come straight from the office, and that has a lot to do with, I would say, a lot of things that are being put on social media, which is affecting my investigators by intimidating them and putting their names out there, their pictures, and I would say, you know, I signed up for this, so I don't mind my name being out there, but I really want to protect my investigators because the investigations that that are conducted are reviewed by me and approved. So that's the reason why we've actually decided to remove their names from the investigations.
One of the questions, I think it's just, thank you for that response. Just if you could maybe explain just kind of a high-level overview of the current process. I mean, we're kind of aware, but just so that folks know the process that goes through with the set of investigators who review a case, and it goes through your team. Just want to give a nice high-level overview of that.
Okay, so all investigations that are done goes through, once the investigations are completed, we have 2 supervisors in place, and each supervisor has a team. So once the investigations are done, they actually go through a peer review among themselves. They also meet weekly and discuss the cases, which is kind of good. It allows them to share the information among some of the cases that are being done. But the review goes through the supervisors. Once the supervisor finishes their review, then it goes to the deputy inspector for his review. And then once he's done with his review, then that review comes to me. I do the final review, and then once we're done with it, then we submit the review to the Civilian Review Board for you to have that final review and approval. But it does go through layers of review, and that's not just reviewing the reports, it's reviewing the documents, it's reviewing whatever audio, it's reviewing body cam. I mean, it's an extensive review just to make sure that everything is accurate and thorough and reflects not only what the complaint is, but also reflects whatever allegations we're looking at and whatever policies and procedures that we're investigating to see whether or not there was a violation.
Excellent, thank you.
I have one more question. Going back to the question that I previously asked you about the investigator's name not being on the case, is this something that's going to be policy for all investigators, or is it just for some investigators?
Oh, no, this is going forward. This is something that we implemented in February. So what you might find is some cases that still have the names on there were probably cases that were submitted prior to us going to this new format. In February is when we went to the new format. And then we had some additional training. So going forward, you won't see the investigators' names on the case. But what we do want is for the board to really just kind of focus on like the investigation and see whether or not, we do know who the investigators are. So we will definitely monitor if there there is an issue or something that we see consistently with an investigator, but going forward, we just don't have their name on the final report that's submitted.
Thank you for that. And so you had mentioned that there's been kind of statements on social media and others about individual investigators. Maybe you don't have to elaborate too much on that, but could you maybe explain in the sense of, I don't know, in terms of whether the city, how you handle that as your office aside? There's this approach. Is there other efforts being made in terms of just getting clarity over the office and what's happening in terms of maybe statements that are made on social media?
The thing that I can tell you is that anything that's made on social media, we are aware of it and we do monitor it. But unless the comments or things that are made on social media is something that affects a policy or procedure, at this point, it's nothing that we can do about it. But we are aware, we are monitoring it, and then if there becomes something that we're able to do, we will make sure that we can do something. We have actually also talked with the attorney's office to see if there's some other avenues in which we can pursue. But at this point in time, we feel the best way to pursue that is to remove the investigator's name from the report to kind of provide that layer of protection of their name and face being brought out there.
Excellent. Thank you. And then part of this, just as clarity, one of the statements that happened earlier as a process that we decided on as a board is in terms of when we're reviewing out these cases, not revealing the names of the officers or the complainants in the cases. Now, that can be found via public records request, but that was a decision that was made as well. So it's consistent with that broader practice. The next case number, any other questions on that particular case? I'm not going to go to the next one. I'm going to explain this one. Sorry about that.